Paul, the young man who was struggling with his mental health and relationships with family, started to break down. He found himself homeless after those struggles, but now he is getting back on his feet thanks to our Putting Down Roots program. This is Paul's story in full. I'm from a small city where I'd never been met adversity before until my battle with depression hit me hard at university. Since then it has been an uphill struggle which eventually led me into homelessness and out of touch entirely from my friends or family for months at a time. All because I couldn't get over what happened when we were teenagers together during that one summer holiday. Life had become unmanageable, so gradually everything fell apart around me. There wasn't anything left anymore. I've suffered from bad anxiety and self-esteem since I was a child. Growing up, mental health wasn't something people talked about openly. You were expected to just get on with things. Being shy and lacking in confidence, my teenage years were especially tough without any guidance or support for what felt like an impossible situation at the time. But when I met my first girlfriend around age 25, it all started coming together. Suddenly there weren't so many expectations anymore because I had someone who cared deeply about me as well as myself. No wonder why she's still by my side today. I've always been very afraid of being judged, which probably came from never feeling accepted growing up due to not fitting into society standards, but even after I found work as an electrician and I'd regularly go to the pub with my boss. On Fridays, we would start drinking after lunch and wouldn't stop until closing time. Alcohol seemed to be the answer for all of our problems. It gave me confidence that I so desperately wanted in life, while also making anxiety disappear from mind. Although I was not raised with a lot of money, my father always tried to give me the best in life. He taught me how to fish and hunt for food as well as how to cook them over an open fire or on our stove when we had electricity. He also took me out into nature so that I could explore it up close. I never really fit in at school like others did because most people were only interested in getting good grades but didn't care about anything else. A quote from someone who knew this. The stress became too much though, which is why they dropped out just before graduation day. For the first time ever, at least since elementary school, people wanted nothing more than be around him. His classmates loved spending. I was always different from other kids. I never felt like the cool kid in school, but being an outcast gave me freedom to be myself and explore my interests. For much of my 20s, I drank a lot with friends as we had lost contact with each other over time. It helped us stay connected even if it wasn't healthy for our relationships or finances later on down the line. It all happened so fast when one day everything came crashing down again after what seemed like endless relapses. This is where rehabilitation clinics finally became necessary for recovery. They were able to teach me how addiction works and give back control of life through accepting help that everyone needs at some point along their journey towards happiness. I used to have everything. But when I turned 40, my life came tumbling down. I lost my driving license and couldn't run the business that was all I had. Relationships with family members and partners broke down, after which I became homeless for a while. Sofa surfing here, squatting there, until finally losing contact with one of the most important people in the world. My daughter. It took me some time before realizing not everyone's lucky enough to be on their own 2 feet like they were once upon a time. And it wasn't just about getting back up again. It was also about making sure no other person went through what you did and found themselves without any support or help whatsoever. Before this incident occurred, I've been through a lot. After I lost my job and couldn't find another, so many factors led to me living on the streets for months before finding an affordable place in a hostel that welcomes people like myself who are recovering from addiction or mental illness. It was hard work volunteering and going to day centers, all while trying not relapse into old habits of using alcohol or drugs again. Eventually it became too much stress, which is when I needed something less stressful. Until now, I had always been very uncomfortable with gardening, so I wasn't really surprised when it didn't work for me. But then, a light bulb went off in my head and I realized that this was the perfect thing to help push me out of my comfort zone. And as soon as I did put down roots at St. Mungo's Recovery College, putting things into perspective. That sounds like quite an interesting experience you've had here. Are there any other programs from St. Mungo's you want us to know about? The first day of training was a turning point in my life. I had been suffering from depression, anxiety and agoraphobia for years before that. But the staff at Castle Park Physic Garden were great when I arrived on my first day. They made me feel welcome and helped to make our weekly sessions safe spaces to work together with other clients who understood what we went through every single week. It became like therapy in so many ways. It wasn't long until I realized how much joy there is working hands-on tasks outside in fresh air as you see your hard work coming into fruition after weeks or months of dedication. The garden became a place of refuge for me. Giving back to the community helped give my life meaning. Gardening gave me focus and I felt like it was putting down roots in what had been missing all these years. My days were structured with working at the garden and supporting our team, but now that November 2020 has finally arrived, everything is about to change. Thanks to putting down roots, which means so much more than just planting flowers, I've found myself again. In October 2020 I moved into my own rented flat where not only does my daughter come stay over occasionally but she also inspires me by teaching me how to use TikTok or YouTubers. Gardening has been an amazing experience for me. It's like therapy and it helped rebuild my relationships with friends, family members, and co-workers who were happy to see that I was doing well after the infection from COVID-19. The staff at Putting Down Roots are incredible people who have supported me along the way in recovery because they know what gardening can do when you're trying to find your balance again while living under lockdown restrictions, until a few of us came back working on replanting our garden recently, thanks largely due to how much we've all followed their advice about finding ways not just outside but also inside through gardening as part of rebuilding ourselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Subscribe to our channel. Please visit www.youthnewchapter or www.ncgod.org to make a donation and support our cause.